Hey guys, welcome to another math lesson with HeyCare Math and Science. This video is about finding angles in parallel lines. And the learning intentions today is to learn about parallel lines and transversals and understand their properties. And the success criteria is to know that parallel lines do not cross, to know the meaning of the terms transversal, corresponding, alternate, and co-interior, and to be able to use the properties of parallel lines to find the unknown angles. So let's pause the video here and just take a minute to write these down. So parallel lines are lines that never meet. So if the two lines you see here, if we continue to draw them either way, they will never meet at any point. And parallel lines are marked with the same number of arrows. As you can see on the left, these two only have one arrow, whilst these two on the right have two arrows. This is important because often there will be shapes with more than one set of parallel lines. So in this case, one might be labeled with one arrow, whilst the other is labeled with two. So it's just really important that you keep that in mind. The next keyword we need to know for today is transversals. A transversal is a line that passes through two or more other lines, and they are usually but not always parallel. So the transversal here will be that line here that is passing through these two lines. And in this case here, the transversal will be that one here, because this one is the one passing through the two parallel lines. So just take note of that and make sure you don't forget this. So when a transversal crosses two lines, it will form a special pair of angles. Let's start off with the corresponding. The corresponding angle, they are in equivalent positions on the transversal. So our first step is to identify the transversal. That's this line going through the other two lines. And our first angle is over here. The corresponding angle to that is this one here, because they are on the same position on the transversal there. Alright, the next important angle we need to know is known as alternate angles. And they are on opposite sides of the transversal and inside the other two lines. So we have the two lines here. They are on the inside of that, but they are on the opposite side of the transversal. That means they're not on the same side here like that. It is one's on this side whilst the other is on that side. Right, and our last special type of angle formed by two lines and the transversal is known as the co-interior angle. These are on the same side of the transversal. So as you can see here, transversal is that line there. They are on the same side and they are inside the other two lines. So they are on the inside of these two like that. Same with this one here. This one's with an example with parallel lines. They're on the same side of the transversal while inside the other two lines there. So let's just make sure we have these notes in our books, as they will be pretty important in the future. Alright, so there are a few angle properties that we also need to know. If a transversal, sorry about that, just go back. If a transversal crosses two parallel lines, then the corresponding angles are equal. So that angle here, the one corresponding to that is this one. They will have the same angle size. So let's say that's about 130 degrees, just being rough. This one will also be 130 degrees. And let's say that's about 70 degrees. This one will also be 70 degrees. So this rule only applies for transversals that pass through a set of parallel lines. So make sure you're looking for that, those arrows there. Alright, so our next angle property is to do with alternate angles, and that is that alternate angles are always equal. So if you go from the side before, alternate angles are on opposite sides of the transversal and inside the other two lines. So once again, they're on opposite sides, but inside the two lines, these two angles there, they will be equal. Same with these two. These are known as alternate angles. And our last special type of angle is known as co-interior angles, as we saw on the slide before. And these are supplementary. That means they sum to 180 degrees. So you can see here the co-interior angles. Once again, they're on the same side of the transversal and inside the other two lines. If you add these two together, they'll be 180 degrees. Same with these two, they'll also be 180 degrees. Let's just identify a couple more co-interior angles. Another one will be this one there with that one there. Those two will make a co-interior angle, and same with those over here. Alright, so now let's have a go at some example questions. So the first one says, name the angle that is corresponding to angle ABF. Remember that notation from last lesson. So angle ABF is ABF, so we'll be referring to that angle there. The corresponding one, remember it's on the same position of the transversal, but next to the other line. So the corresponding angle will be here. And that one, the name of that angle will be angle HFG. So our next question asks us to find the alternate angle to ABF. So let's write question B over here. Let's go back. Question B. Let's find ABF. is that angle here again, and the alternate one, remember that is on the opposite side of the transversal, but also inside the other two lines. So our alternate angle here that fits that description is go to the opposite side of the transversal, but while still inside the two lines, that'll be right there, and that could be labeled as either angle CFE, because we have C, F, and D there, or you could call it E, F, C. Either one is fine there. Alright, now let's move on to question C. Question C asks us to find the angle that is co-interior to angle ABF. Now we know angle ABF is over here, we've identified that before. So the one co-interior means on the same side of the transversal, but inside the other two lines. So the one that fits that description here is that angle right there, and that is labeled either angle CFH there, or you could do the other way around, angle HFC. Alright, now moving on to the last one. Question D, it asks us to find the angle that is vertically opposite to ABF. So you need to remember this from last lesson. ABF once again was over here. Vertically opposite, that means directly opposite to that. That'll be right there. So that'll be either angle CBD or DBC. Alright, now I'm going to pause the video here and have a go at these questions by yourself and just unpause it when you're ready to go through them with me. Alright, so the first question asks us to find the angle that is corresponding to angle EFB. So our first thing we need to do is find angle EFB, and that will be right here. And we need to find the angle that is corresponding to it. So it's on the same position of the transversal, but just anywhere along the line. So that will be right there. That's in the exact same place of the same line. So that'll be either labeled CBD or angle DBC. Give yourself a tick if you got that one correct. Alright, the next question asks us to find the angle that is alternate to angle DBF. Now we need to find what angle DBF is. I'll just get rid of that. That will be right there, angle DBF. And we need to find the angle that is alternate to it. So that's on the other side of the transversal, but inside the two lines. So that will be right there. So that's called angle BFH or angle HFB. Give yourself a tick if you got that one correct as well. Next one is a co-interior angle to angle EFB. So let's find angle EFB. That will be right here. And co-interior, remember that's on the same side of the transversal, but inside the two lines. So that will be right there. So that's angle DBF or angle FBD. And let's move on to the last question. Vertically opposite to angle GFE. That will be right here. Hoping you guys are pretty on top of finding and labeling your angles now. And vertically opposite, remember, is directly opposite to that diagonally. So that'll be right here. That's angle HF, HFB or angle BFH. Give yourself a tick if you got those correct as well. Alright, now let's move on to a couple of harder problems. So for this one, it says find the value of the pronumerals in these diagrams stating reasons. So let's start off with angle A. And the first thing with that, we need to identify what that is. That is a corresponding angle. It is in the corresponding position there. And remember from the rules before, corresponding angles, if the transversal crosses through two parallel lines, they are equal. So that means angle A will also be 120 degrees. Right, now let's move on to angle B. If you remember your definitions from before, angle B is on the other side of the transversal and inside the other two lines. That means they are alternate angles. And alternate angles, once again from a previous slide here, it says alternate angles are equal. So that means that angle there, angle B, is also 120 degrees. And now let's move on to the last one. That's question C. Question C, angle C is a co-interior angle to B. They are on the same side of the transversal whilst inside both lines. And remember, co-interior angles, they add up to 180 degrees. So let's do that here. We're looking for angle C. So C equals 180, because the total will be 180, minus the part we don't need, which is B, which is 120. So C will be 60 degrees there. Alright, so if you are struggling, just remember to ask your teacher. They'll be more than happy to help you. Otherwise, let's move on to the next question. This one, we're looking for angle A. So it may be a bit harder to picture it like on the left, but essentially they are a pair of parallel lines with a transversal. So I'll show you what I mean here. If you keep drawing that straight, that's pretty much one of these diagrams here, like that. So sorry, my drawing's a bit messy. You can kind of picture it like that. So if you have a look, that is a co-interior angle. So angle A, that will be, A would equal 180 minus 72. And I'll just quickly do that with you up here, just so you guys are remembering your subtraction. Let's take 1 from there. That will be 7. 10 minus 2 is 8. 7 minus 7 is 0. 1 minus 0 is 1. So we have A as 108 degrees. Remember, because that's a co-interior angle, and co-interior angles, when they are added together, they equal 180 degrees. Now let's move on to question B. B is going to equal, let's picture this again. So that we're looking at this one this time here. If you have a look, there, that was co-interior to that. This time that is co-interior to that. So that means when you add B and 72, that will give you 180 degrees. So we can do B equals 180 minus 72 to get B. And once again, that will be 108 degrees. So in fact, A is the same as B. Alright, now let's pause the video here and have a go at these questions by yourself, and just unpause them when you're ready to go through them. Alright, so for this first one, we're looking for angle A, and that is in a corresponding position to the 70 degrees, and that means they are the same angle. Now let's go into angle B. This is an example of an alternate angle. They are on the other side of the transversal, but inside the parallel lines. And if you remember from before, alternate angles also have the same angle. And let's move on to angle C. Angle C is co-interior to B. They're on the same side of the transversal and inside the other two lines. That means they're going to equal to 180. So C would equal 180 minus 70, which gives us 110 degrees. Give yourself a tick if you got that correct. Alright, now let's move on to the next question. This one's a little bit harder than the one on the left. Let's draw the lines a bit longer just so you can picture it in your minds a bit better. So that's going to look a little bit more familiar now. Now if you look at it like that, you can see that A is co-interior to 115. They're on the same side of the transversal and inside the two lines. So that means A equals 180 minus 115. I'll quickly do that with you guys up here. 180 minus 115. We take 1 from the tens column. 10 minus 5 is 5. 7 minus 1 is 6. 1 minus 1 is 0. So that means A equals 65 degrees. And for B, B once again is co-interior to A. So B would equal 180 minus 65, and that will give you 115 degrees. Now give yourself a tick if you got those two correct. Alright, so that brings us to the end of this video. Hopefully by now you guys are more confident with this topic, and you guys do know that parallel lines do not cross, that you know the meaning of the terms transversal, corresponding, alternate, and co-interior, and you can use the properties of these angles and parallel lines to find the unknown angles. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys all back online.